When World War II ended, there was large transfers of population from Germany to Poland, and then also around that time from Pakistan to India, from even before, from Greece to Turkey. And there's always been even larger population transfers. I think the largest one at that time was between the Pakistan and Indian border. 1.5 million people transferred during those years, across borders. And you don't see any Pakistanis or any Polish people or German people arguing about this transfer. It seems like they've settled, but there seems to be not this historic complaint. And also, people underplay a lot when they talk about this, the role that the other Arab states have had in making it super difficult for Palestinians to even have any possibility of their own state. Jordan made it impossible at some point. Egypt made it impossible at some point. And actually, the Palestinian state, I consider it to be Jordan because originally, the British mandate was much larger and they gave like a big chunk to a couple of kings that are not even from the Levant. They're Hashemite, they are Arabic. So they're not even from there. So when people say, who is the real colonizer, and who is the real, it's all a bunch of projection, right? The Hashemites are not even from there. That they still are the rulers of a whole country using the colors of the Arab caliphates in their flag. Also, it's ironic because the same, Jordanians had a conflict with the Palestinians, kicked them out, sent them to Lebanon. And I mean, they're well aware that they have to at the same time continue to keep them as refugees. And I think if I can remember correctly, I think Nasser, Egypt's leader at that time, said that this is like necessary for the Arabic countries in order to continue to press Israel internationally. So as long as you keep them in limbo, you can keep on making that demand, of the right of return. So once you give that up, all of the house of cards begins to crumble. If they give up the right of return, all of their charade crumbles. That's it.
Okay. Thank you, Oscar. You kind of stole my point on the way, but I'm not mad because if you live not in Israel and you understand it, so our discussions are fruitful.
Say, why can't we just keep them under occupation unless they... I'm aware of the fact that they want to kill us. I don't know why people keep jumping on me with, they want... No, I understand. I do not think that's going to change in my lifetime. If I had to be a betting person, I would bet that the day I die, it will still be too dangerous to pull out and occupation because too many Palestinians will want to kill us. And that I will die next to an occupied Palestinian territory. But if they want to leave, that's their judgment. But we shouldn't force them out. We should only just keep up occupation. And if it takes centuries, that's on them. That's their fault that they, for centuries, as a society, would have rather been under occupation than, accept the fact that they can't kill us. I don't think it's right to forcibly move them. Again, you guys can say other countries should be willing to, but they're not. I support, if any Palestinians want to go to Ireland, I support paying for the plane ride and putting them on a plane to Ireland and just letting Ireland decide how they're going to handle the situation of a plane full of Palestinians appearing on their shore, or in their airport. But we can't force Ireland to ultimately keep them in Ireland. I mean, I guess maybe I don't know, can we stop not allow a return plane and say no, our airport's closed to this return plane? But we can't force Ireland to take them. And I'm posting again an Instagram link to Not Wolf quickly explaining something. She does way better job saying what I want to say than I could ever possibly say.
I heard everything she has to say a lot of times and also now, but I think I didn't want... I don't
make
want
it briefly because we have a long...
I just don't think any normal person wants to stay in this situation I go about just like basic logic. Nobody wants to stay there. That's my logic. Could be wrong. Could it 80-20%, could be 50-50, who knows? I don't think anybody wants to stay in rubble and clean the rubble. That's
I've been
evident.
known.
Okay,
I've been known to kill you all.
we'll get
Yeah, I think they
there.
want to stay.
They do want to stay because the rubble equals a lot of money to fix the rubble, but never mind. Now we have Khaled.
Four of the superpowers have already recognized the 67 borders. Four of the superpowers have already recognized it. It was very hard. You have to convince the four superpowers to basically denounce a Palestinian state. The Brits, the French, the Russians, and the Chinese have recognized the Palestinian state. The only one who hasn't is the United States of America. Even if the next president recognizes it, it's going to be fucking hard. That's the problem. That's my point.
Okay, thank you, Khaled. Armin, please.
All right, 3 points. First, I want to acknowledge that Samantha is in a room. Like, I just want to recognize how great it is that she's talking to all of us, even though it seems like most people disagree with her. She still like doesn't get intimidated by that. And I just wanted to acknowledge that she's here and talking to us. And I also want to thank the rest of the group that they're not like attacking her, even though she might have agreement. So it's really nice to see that Samantha feels safe talking to us, even though she disagrees with most of us. And also want to acknowledge how most of you are not feeling like they're, attacking her for her views. Okay. And also, okay, so 2 point, that was my first point. Second point is, okay, so I really want Nail Bunny's plan to work. The issue with that is, even if we say like, oh, you're Muslim, so these are your Muslim brothers, and if you care for them, you have to take them. I mean, the thing is that they have a good excuse for not taking them. They're like, no, because we support their own right to self-determination as Palestinian state. So they're going to have plenty of excuses to come up. Like their main reason for not accepting him is because these are motherfucking terrorists and they're going to destabilize our country, just like they did with Lebanon, Jordan, and anywhere else they went. But their actual excuse is going to be like, no, we support them and we're not going to let you take away their right to their own nation state. That's going to be the excuse. And honestly, it's going to be very hard for anybody to force this, force this upon those Islamic countries. So I don't see how we could force 6 million people on countries who would not take them. So my solution is to force them on weaker countries, right? So I think we should go into Africa and look at failed states and look at places where they cannot say no, because there's not much resistance. So I don't know if that's a solution, because as bad as many of these Islamic countries are, they're not failed statey enough. They're serious countries. I don't know if that's a good solution, but I don't think you could force even 100,000 people on Algeria. We need to go some other Africa, maybe Somalia. They have a hard time. They're a failed state. Move in there. Can somebody explain to me how are we going to make other countries accept them unless they are weak enough not to be able to say no?
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, Norman. Forcing them on weaker countries sounds like a good idea. I'm down for that. It's ruthless, but it might work. I wouldn't have a problem with it. As far as what you said, Samantha, you're saying, and I don't think anybody's jumping on you. It's just what you said makes some sense. You said you just want to occupy them until they are radicalized. No matter how long that takes, could be centuries. If you got to occupy them for 200 years, that's what you got to do. You got to occupy them. Yeah, at the very least, you got to occupy them. You have to conquer them to occupy them. No two-state solution. You have to occupy them and force your will upon them. It's as simple as that. This is Israeli land. The Palestinians are occupying what is rightfully Israeli land, as far as I'm concerned. And they need to be conquered and rolled over. They don't have any rights. And as far as what Khalid said about all these other countries recognizing Palestine, I really don't give a like what other countries say. We rule the world. What we say goes. The only thing that matters is America. Period.
Can I
True story.
respond to Khalid? Dajjal, you can say what you want, but in geopolitics, you have to get recognized by different nations. If you have too many nations recognize you, there's no point of you saying, "Oh, let's kick them out." Even America sometimes has to negotiate with Russia and China to get things done. This is not the American unipolar moment. We're in a multipolar period, and everyone can choose what they want to listen to. This is why you have the new country, something called BRICS, where they're basically deciding whatever they want. They're not listening to the United States of America anymore. Like, this isn't, I get you want American supremacy, but it's not, when we don't live that anymore. This is the ugly truth.
1 minute ended. The Dajjal 1 minute reply. It was accurate on the clock.
Yeah, actually, it doesn't. It actually doesn't matter what they think did. It really doesn't. What are they going to do about it? What Israel decides to conquer and occupy Gaza and the West Bank, and we sign off on it? What are they going to do? They can shake their fist. They're going to wag their finger at us. They ain't going to do shit. Russia ain't going to do shit. China ain't going to do shit.
No, gentlemen, that's it. Okay. So, I have a few points in here. First of all, I don't remember who it was. I think it was Oscar that talked a lot about projection that's going on here. Yeah, it's not new to us. We see it in all fields. The funniest example that I came across was about, along the years, it happened a lot of times that Palestinians raped Jewish women as some sort of an attack. In October 7th, they just did it. Lots of people did it. And so I saw a research that spoke about that the IDF soldiers are so racist that they don't rape the Palestinian women because they don't see them as human. In other words, I'm a lefty researcher who couldn't find any stats on raping Palestinian women, so I'm making up shit.
Yeah.
It's a true. I don't make it up. It's a true thing here. You see, the Israelis, they recognize it. They recognize it. It's a real thing. So yeah, that's some of this projection that's completely retarded. Next point is, in order to de-radicalize the Gazans, you need to make them give up on their Palestinian identity. The Palestinian identity is intertwined with the ideology of killing the Jews. As long as they have the aspiration of keeping their Palestinian identity, they will want to kill Jews. The radicalization is not about making them not to kill Jews. It's about making them give up on their identity, which is 10 times harder, by the way. This is about the recognition of other states.
You have to destroy the Palestinian identity.
They have to destroy it from themselves. I cannot destroy it. About the recognition that you talked about, I think that the only country that matters, I tend to agree with Dajjal, the only country that matters in this scenario is America, because the rest of the country left Israel long ago. We have nothing to lose from their flexing. And if we don't want Gaza to be recognized, Gaza will not be recognized. We still have the power to enforce a blockade or whatever. A million countries can recognize them. The only country which is relevant is America, because it may pressure us in a way that we cannot resist. But they are the only one that counts. The rest of the world can recognize them, and we will still make them stay in the way that they are if they still want to kill Jews. We can do that. Moving them is also a problem. Why is moving them a problem? Because Hamas is de facto, Khalid, try to raise your hands when I'm finished talking, okay? Hamas is de facto the paramilitary group of the Muslim Brotherhood, okay? Let's say that you move them somewhere else. The Muslim Brotherhood will still give them money, and they will pump their poison ideology in Africa and start Islamizing people, making them stupid and making them on board with their cause. They can do that. The funding is not over. In order to take care of the paramilitary group of the Muslim Brotherhood, we need to strike at the Muslim Brotherhood. I'm done. And now, Khaled, I wrote you down. Anybody besides Khaled raise his hand when I was talking?
I want to add a small point to what you said. It's technicality. If they don't have a coin, it doesn't matter how many countries say they exist. They need a coin. They need technicalities of doesn't work just because I say so.
Yeah, they still use shekels, guys. If it's not clear to the guys in here, the Palestinians use Israeli currency. They don't have their own currency.
Can I respond? Okay, it's my turn.
Samantha, please.
Yeah. I don't know. I hear the US might force us to recognize a Palestinian state. Do you mean that the US could force us to end occupation? Because that's really scary. We can't pull out of the West Bank right now. They will kill us. We pull out right now. Like, I don't know what you mean by the US might force us. Do you mean the US would force us to end occupation of the West Bank?
The United States is the only opinion that matters. You have a bunch of countries recognizing Palestine. It doesn't matter what these other countries say. The only opinion that matters is America's, because we're just that strong. If it decides to conquer and annex the Palestinian territories and occupy them, and we back them up, there ain't a damn thing anybody else can do about it. Now, if we were to try to get them not to do so, we can cause Israel some problems. But even then, there would be some issues, because I just don't think there's much impetus behind the idea that America is going to militarily, it's going to try to military stop Israel from occupying Palestinian territories if they truly insisted upon doing it. I just don't think the impetus is there. We might throw a fit. Trump might throw a fit. But if he did it, I think he would get over it in time. Yeah, we could cause some problems. But when it comes to recognizing Palestine and other countries doing that, they don't matter. If we don't recognize it and we support Israel occupying the Palestinian territories,
Doesn't matter shit.
it don't matter shit, man. No, it doesn't matter. They can scream and cry all they want, but it doesn't mean anything.
Like, do you think America could force us to pull the IDF out of the West Bank? That's really scary.
America won't.
Out of the West Bank or out of Gaza?
West Bank, the West Bank, America won't.
Okay, so then, like, we don't have to worry.
We could do theoretically, but I don't think we would. And I think if we did, and they still did it anyway, I think Trump would throw a fit, but he'd get over it. And then in the end, he'd pretend like it was his idea all along.
So let me just answer this. America forcing Israel to do something so dangerous for security is basically America ending its relationship with Israel. Like, and America would not want to lose such an important ally in the Middle East. It just makes no strategic sense for, like, and it basically reduces ties with such an important ally with no benefit to the United States. So it makes absolutely no sense to do that.
Greece and Cyprus will piss their pants if it would happen. But that's just a side note.
I've seen videos of Democrat consultants saying that the next election cycle, we're going to recognize a Palestinian state. And the second one is that if Israel can do it, then Russia would say, Russia and China say, look, we can just conquer Taiwan, and Russia could say we can conquer Ukraine. You did it for Israel, so we can do it to the point. There's a standard in the US. I'm not saying I don't know the solution. I'm just saying there's a standard. They say, look, you did it in Israel. We'll do it with Russia and Ukraine and China and Taiwan. That's it. I'm just saying that.
They're already trying to take Ukraine.
But
That's what,
we
that's
are
what-
including these
Guys,
points, not Palestinian, in
let's
this
sti- let's-
equation.
Let's stick to the list. When the list is empty, I let you jump in. I promise. Now it's I don't recognize Gili Galil. Galili.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just want to say on this point, and it's interesting to me that people keep saying occupation, and as long as the world follows international law, Israel is not occupying the West Bank or Gaza, because the whole territory was legally taken by Israel in 1948 under international law that was laid down by the League of Nations originally, and then passed along to inherited by the United Nations. And they haven't been able to change that. The only people that can give away parts of Israel is Israel. We can give Gaza formally and fully, which we sort of went part of the way to doing in Oslo. We can give, I don't like to call it the West Bank. I like to call it Hebron and Judea and Samaria. We can give that away. But we actually legally, and as long as the world follows international law, and this is a very problematic thing because the world doesn't follow international law. There is no Palestine until Israel gives it away. And we can stand on that. The problem there with sending them away is like the force that the international world can apply to Israel physically as much as economically or the other things that we can do, because they have convinced the world generally of things that are not factually true. And so for that reason, personally, I tend to lean towards dealing with them by encouraging them into some kind of loose Emirati sort of system, for the simple reason that they are tribal people and they fight amongst themselves all the time. The people of Judea and Samaria do not like the people of Gaza. And the only thing that unites them is their united desire to kill Jews and to destroy Israel. So I believe it is possible for them to be ultimately set up in a kind of an Emirati style of thing where they are given a certain amount of independence but along tribal lines, and where individual tribes are supported, because that could be used as a way of stopping
30
them from
seconds.
uniting. That could be used as a way of stopping them from uniting against Israel generally, because we can encourage them to indulge in their own self-interests. That's my contribution.